Hey, everybody, welcome into another episode of Star Wars The Bad Batch here on Star Wars Republic, our show about all things Star Wars here on the Arena Productions. I'm your host, Expat, and we're going to be doing Season 2, Episode 10 called Retrieval recap. But before we get into it, I just want to let all of you know that this is a spoiler-filled recap episode of The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 10. So if you have not watched the episode, please go to Disney Plus and check it out, and then come back and watch this recap video here. So with that said, let's get started with episode 10. So anyway, the crew is still stranded on the planet from the past episode, episode 9. And they're trying to find a way to get into kind of like the city center. You know, they're still in that abandoned spaceport area, and they're trying to look for parts, and they find like a kind of a broken down speeder, and so they're fixing it. Of course, Wrecker, he's hungry because he used up all of his rations and everything, and then of course Tech is getting everything put back together as usual, so that they can get to the city. And Omega comes up with an interesting idea that she's going to be able to try to communicate with their droid, of course, Gonki, because Gonki is still on the Marauder. And so if she can find out the location of Gonki, she'll be able to find the Marauder. So they actually, she's able to do that. And it's really cool that she's just able to, for some reason, plug in her scanning device into any particular area in this abandoned spaceport. But she's able to do it, and they find out where Gonki and the Marauder is, and it's about 100 kilometers out. And so they're able to get this speeder working so they could get into this little city area to find out where the ship is. And then they find the ship, and that's where we're going to head to next. Okay, so in this video image, of course, the batch run into Benni, and Benni is the one who stole the Marauder. And a little bit earlier, of course, when Benni gets back to that spaceport there, or in the city area, he runs into, of course, those who he works for, and I guess the boss is called Mokko. And Mokko is telling Benni that this isn't just any particular ship, and he's kind of apprehensive because of the attention that it might bring. But and he's telling him that you did well and all, and he gives him a little bit of water rations and all before drinking it himself. But he says that you can keep Gonki, and then some of his other men started stripping the ship. But anyway, the batch finds Benni, and in the image here, and basically, telling him that we need to find our ship and all. So anyway, they interrogate Benni, and Benni is not going to go against Mokko, but he does give in to let them know where he actually lives, and they have to go into this big kind of like this big chimney stack that's blowing out steam, and they have like a 1-minute window to get in before the steam starts blowing out again. So anyway, we see in this image here Hunter jumping down to take out one of the droids, and it's pretty cool. He's able to do it just before the steam starts blowing because the droid just gets incinerated by it. And then he's able to let the rest of the crew in, and to find out where Mokko is. So anyway, here's an image of Mokko, and I mean, basically, he's just taking advantage of his people, taking advantage of the miners there. I mean, it's kind of like what's going on in the Empire, where you have these bosses that are taking advantage of the little people. The people that don't have much, and they're just using them to get more profit and to become richer and richer. And Benny is no exception, unfortunately. Yeah, he's a good thief, but Moko's been taking advantage of him and the rest of his crew and the people that are mining. Yeah, it's interesting when Tech and Wrecker are fixing the ship, getting the the hyperdrive fixed again and everything on the ship. I mean, Hunter, is about to take off because a couple of Benny's men, some of his friends or whatever, came up and they started interrogating Hunter, and they found out that they were not friendly, and so Hunter chases after them. But it's interesting how how Tech was telling Wrecker and telling Hunter basically that Mokko is no different from a lot of others in the Empire, taking advantage of the citizens, taking advantage of the people. So anyway, the next objective is to lower the ray shield to be able to get out of the atmosphere, obviously, to get off the planets, the planet. So basically, Hunter lets Omega go with Benny to access the control room in the central tower. So, of course, Benny uses his thief skills by stealing an access card to get up there. And it's interesting, the conversation between Benny and Omega. Omega's like, why are you staying here? You could basically go anywhere. And Benny's like saying that this is my home. And Omega's like saying to him, well, the Marauder, the ship, is our home. And Benny was, in a sense, like, I wish Mokko treated me like, Hunter and the crew treat you when talking to Omega. But anyway, but Benny, kind of alerts Mokko, and so Mokko comes in, and they get Omega, and then there's like a standoff that happens, obviously, and Omega is being used as a bargaining chip for them to lower their weapons and everything. So throughout the episode, Benny had thought that the Ipsium that they had been mining had been degrading, and so that's why Mokko was not giving the workers more of rations and more more money, I guess, in this sense. But they find out that the Ipsium is not degrading, and so basically Mokko is using them and profiting, and keeping most of the profits to himself, obviously. And Benny is able to find out this and the truth of all of this on the pad that Omega had, with after using the access card and all. And so, so basically they all turn against Mokko, and Mokko, it seems he falls to his death, obviously. Then, towards the end of the episode, Benny gives Hunter and them all of the rest of their supplies. And then I love this, this little back and forth again between Tech and Omega, where Omega is, talking about how there's a lot of people, unfortunately, out there that are like the Empire, and the Empire is not the only threat. And I liked what Tech said back to her. Tech said, well, there's a lot of good people out there too that will fight alongside of us against, the Empire. And that's how the episode ends. And of course, they take off in the Marauder and leave the planet. So overall, I enjoyed the episode, but I mean, it was just a continuation of episode 9. It just seems like another filler episode in a sense, and it feels like this whole season it's getting to where they're just focusing on Hunter and the crew, doing Sid's missions and Sid's bidding. Of course, we didn't get Crosshair again in this episode. I mean, I'm really missing Crosshair. I'd love to see him, come back. And I think in the last few episodes of the season, he's definitely going to be in it along with the crew, and there's something big going to go down again. But it just seems so far that they're just concentrating on, Hunter and Omega and Wrecker and Tech. Of course, Echo is now, with Rex. But it just seems like they're just focusing on Sid's missions and going from place to place, and we're seeing different planets and different types of materials that they're trying to acquire. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun episode. I still enjoyed it a lot, and of course, the little back and forth between Tech and Omega, I really enjoyed again. So I thought that was really cool. So yeah, so this has been my recap, of course, of season 2, episode 10 of The Bad Batch. So I hope you catch us next week here on Star Wars Republic, our show about all things Star Wars, here on the Arena Productions, where we do episode 11's recap of The Bad Batch. And just one other little quick note here. We do have a Patreon, of course, and you can check it out, patreon.com/thearena_podcast, where we have lots of other content related to Marvel, related to Star Trek, related to gaming. Of course, our mainstay of the Arena Productions, The Arena, a multi-platform gaming news podcast, where we do a weekly gaming news show about all the stuff going on in the world of gaming and game development. So you can catch us. We record live on Saturdays on the Arena Productions. And on Patreon, we also have exclusive post-show content for the Arena podcast as well. So hopefully you can check that out. So anyway, I've been your host, Expat, and I hope to catch you next week for another episode of The Bad Batch. So take care, and may the Force be with you. Hope to catch you next week. Peace out.